Type 1 diabetes cure update. I have some exciting things to talk about in this video, so you're definitely going to want to watch this one. So right after I dropped my last patient off in the recovery room at the hospital today as an anesthesia provider, I went and sat down and had an hour-long Zoom call with the CEO of Cernova right down here. And I'm going to talk about what I learned from him in just a minute. But first I want to update you on the Eledon trial. We know that Elodon has dosed a total of 10 people with type 1 diabetes with their drug tegoprubart to cure them of their type 1 diabetes with their new islet cell transplant. Their drug protects new islet cells phenomenally well without any toxicity or side effects reported to date. We know that Marlena, who I have interviewed on this channel before, she is going to reach her 1.5 year mark of being cured next month in February. Think about that. She hasn't had to deal with this disease for 1.5 years, and she suffered from it for about 30 years, the great majority of her life. That is so incredibly exciting, and I'm so happy for her. And I hope you guys are following Chris and Katie's TikTok. They are somewhere around patient 8, 9, or 10. The two of them were very recently dosed in the Eledon trial. And Chris let me know that he is almost all the way off of insulin. He's very close. And we could expect to see that potentially happen in the next week or two. He might get the call to stop taking all insulin in the next week or two. He had a mixed meal tolerance test recently that showed that he has excellent C-peptide production, showing excellent insulin production, and he's very close to reaching that amazing milestone. And then I also spoke with Katie today, and she told me that she discontinued her long-acting insulin today. That's incredible. And the only insulin she's using is short-acting right now, and that is going to gradually wean down over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And she could very well be off of insulin in about 2 to 3 weeks as well. She's about a week post-islet cell transplant. You guys, Elodon's drug tegoprubart is phenomenal. It works so incredibly well to protect islet cells without any toxicity or side effects. The standard of care for 30 years for islet cell transplant has been tacrolimus. Tacrolimus is a garbage drug, you guys. It's absolute garbage. It has kidney and nervous system toxicity. It causes tremors. It causes type 2 diabetes that requires insulin. And it is toxic to the beta cells themselves that are producing insulin. That is why these people that are on tacrolimus, like in the Vertex trial, it takes them a lot longer to go off insulin. And you fast forward into the future, their graft is not going to last forever because of the toxicity to the beta cell. We don't know, obviously, but we can extrapolate from how well these Elodon patients are doing. Their islet cell transplant could last their entire life. It very well could last their entire life because they're not poisoning the beta cells that they are supposed to protect. Okay, now let me talk about what I learned from Jonathan Rigby, who is the CEO of Sernova. So Jonathan Rigby has type 1 diabetes. He's had it since he was 18 years old. And so he's suffered from this disease for decades. And he shared with me some personal stories about how terrible this disease is for himself in his own life. And you guys, he has a personal touch that nobody else has. And I loved talking with him. I'm so grateful to him and everything he's doing to try to cure this absolutely horrible disease that my daughter suffers from every hour of the day. So we know that Cernova has announced a partnership with Evotec. Evotec is a company that makes stem cell-based islet cells. And that partnership was announced, I believe, back in 2023. So Evotec has been working on making stem cell-based islet cells, and Cernova has an exclusive collaboration with them. That means that nobody else can use Evotec's islet cells. And that's very exciting. Guess who else has a partnership with Cernova? Elodon does. It was announced last year that Cernova was collaborating with Eledon. because Cernova makes a cell pouch system. They have a smaller 8-channel pouch and then a larger 10-channel pouch where they can insert, I think it's about 50% more volume of islet cells into their larger cell pouch. This pouch is inserted into the abdominal rectus sheath area on somebody with type 1 diabetes, and they have blood vessels grow onto it for several weeks. And then once there's a good blood supply established on the pouch, they inject islet cells into these 8 or 10 channels. It's going to be 10 channels going forward. Well, I just found out from Jonathan tonight that Cernova is finishing up their cohort B trial right now, which is with cadaveric cells and tacrolimus. Tacrolimus is the nasty drug that we don't like, that I just told you about. Jonathan told me that they plan quite soon to begin another trial with their collaboration with Eledon. He told me this should happen around March or April time of this year, in just a few months. What they're going to do is they're going to use their 10-channel encapsulation device, and they're going to do this on about 3 or 4 patients with type 1 diabetes. They're going to get the channel inserted, the pouch inserted, and they're going to let the blood vessels grow on it. And then they're going to insert human cadaveric cells for this first trial, and they're going to use Eledon's drug tegoprubart to protect these islet cells. So far, Cernova has used tacrolimus to protect their islet cells in their cohort A and their cohort B groups. This cohort C group is going to be switching over to tegoprubart. And so what we expect to have happen is we're not poisoning the beta cells anymore. That's number one. So the beta cells are going to perform much better. They're going to be able to perform their job the way they were intended to without being poisoned. Remember that tacrolimus is toxic to beta cells. It interferes with mitochondrial function. It limits the amount of ATP that these beta cells can produce, and by so doing, it limits the insulin production that these beta cells can produce as well. That is why we expect to see much improved results in Cernova's next phase of the trial. And with tegoprubart protecting the islet cells, we could potentially see enough insulin production to allow this patient to become functionally cured from type 1 diabetes. They might be able to go completely off of insulin just from the islet cells within this pouch. Now, the advantage of the pouch is that it's retrievable, and we know that the FDA loves retrievability. So if, heaven forbid, something went wrong with the islet cells, which we don't expect to see that, we haven't seen it yet, but if it did, the cells wouldn't go anywhere. They would be contained within the pouch, and you could just remove the pouch. Bada bing, bada boom, it's gone. So retrievability is a plus for sure, and that's different from delivering the cells through the portal vein that goes directly to the liver, because you do not have retrievability in that circumstance. So what I am excited to see the results of are Elodon's drug protecting Cernova's pouch instead of tacrolimus, because we're going to see an increased insulin production. There's going to be increased C-peptide, and it might be enough to push it over the edge for these patients to go completely off of insulin. That is what Jonathan Rigby thinks could very well happen, and as I think about it, that's what I think could happen as well. So it's going to be very exciting to get results relatively soon, you guys. Remember, tegoprubart protected cells, they start producing insulin within 48 to 72 hours, and then it just ramps up from there. So I'm excited for this collaboration between Cernova and Elodon. The cells from Evotech will come later. They're going to do these first 3 or 4 patients first with cadaveric cells. I plan on interviewing Jonathan in the future, and you guys will all get to meet him and hear directly from him. So stay tuned for that.